So let's look at pub life under social distancing rules. Here's a video from The Sun in the UK. This is Green King pubs.
So you'll notice there are now hand sanitizer stations dotted around pubs. So you'll be encouraged to use these.
Yay! Dry skin and less exposure to necessary good bacteria and germs that would otherwise help to keep our immune systems healthy.
When you first enter the pub, you're going to be greeted by a host who will either show you to your table if you've already pre-booked, or if you haven't, they will tell you how long you have to wait for the next table.
So this is similar to what they're doing in Irish pubs. You can't stand around in the pub and fraternise in a normal way. So you have to sit at a table like you're in a restaurant. So that's absolutely useless for single people who are looking to meet new people, because if you're going to a pub with your guy friends or your girlfriends, your time spent in the pub will be very, I suppose, stringently regulated to a certain degree. So you can't just walk up to someone in the normal way. You have to sit down in a designated seat, right? It's all organized fun, which doesn't sound all that fun. With the social distancing signs and reminders nagging you everywhere, this is going to be rather lame.
There are now signs dotted around the floors, which will remind you to keep a safe distance from other customers.
This is unbelievable. You're in a pub. It's supposed to be a place where human beings go to be around other people in a free and uninhibited way. Now they're being told to keep their distance. How is this conducive to a relaxed, friendly, natural, fun atmosphere? Human beings cannot live like penned-in animals for the rest of their lives. And I say for the rest of their lives because there's been no timetable on the ending of these social distancing rules or on the rules regarding masks, other than until we get the vaccine. But see, that's a trap. Make people's lives as unpleasant as possible, and what will they do? They'll be desperate for any supposed solution. But let me tell you, even after the vaccine, I doubt anything is going to go back to normal. Do you think airport security went back to normal after 9/11? The epidemic is over, and yet the stringent rules are coming in hard and fast. We keep being told that this is the new normal. New normal suggests the future, suggests permanence. Do you want this to be your future? Well, there's good news and bad news. The good news is this kind of stuff can't actually work for very long, because many pubs have razor-thin margins as it is, and they cannot afford to operate without packing their pubs to the rafters with customers. As they now can't do that under these social distancing guidelines, they'll be out of business very soon. The bad news is they'll be out of business very soon, thus destroying the pub, a major social venue for meeting friends and for meeting new people or a prospective romantic partner. Imagine if all social venues are effectively destroyed. People are going to have to get very creative when it comes to how they meet members of the opposite sex. Right? This is a clear attempt at disrupting natural and normal human interactions, socializing, and indeed pair bonding.
So, in this pub, Green King has dramatically reduced its tables and the space around the tables. So, at the moment, it's running at about 60% capacity. And it's nice if you have got people walking to the bar, that you have got that distance between you and you've got that kind of protection.
Protection from what? From a superstitious belief that everyone around you is infected with a Spanish flu-type virus that kills in the millions or something? They can't actually be infected with such a virus, as there currently isn't one circulating the globe. The COVID-19 was nothing like that, and all data models, corrupted studies, and manipulated death certificates attest to that.
This is a one-way system, so you'll have to keep following the dots around the pub.
Yay, follow the dots. Do what you're told, because everything is airport security now. All social venues have to feel like joyless, regulated spaces where your movements are controlled and monitored at all times. Forget about the freedom to behave like a human being and just do your own thing. That's selfish. You could get someone sick. So just surrender your autonomy and your individuality and obey the demands placed upon the herd. You're a drone now, and drones are like domesticated animals. You're being groomed to follow and obey orders. Just keep complying with the instructions. Don't question the necessity or effectiveness of those instructions, just obey them and get excited for next instructions. This kind of mass behavior modification and widespread psychological warfare in all aspects of life is the only way in which a populace can be primed and indoctrinated into a totalitarian state just like communism. Adults are being treated like they need to be constantly babysat.
Carry on following the one-way signs. So you'll notice as well that Green King have got friendly reminders around their pub, which tells you can order your food by the app.
I don't use a smartphone.
Green King have now got these little signs here, which will basically help other customers know when another customer is using the toilets. And the great thing is you can use your elbow to change it, so you don't even need to touch it with your hands.
Collective insanity. This is the only way in which I can describe this. 2020, that was the year that most people on planet Earth just lost their minds. And I gotta tell you, I feel your pain, dear viewer. I know what it's like to feel like you're the only one who can see how far off the deep end the rest of the populace has gone.
So each pub will have a pub safe monitor, and this person will be responsible for making sure that social distancing rules are being adhered to. Customers will also be able to come to this person if they've got any concerns about hygiene or about social distancing.
Great. So basically the pub has an official designated Karen to keep customers on high alert in case they don't follow some arrows or signs on the floor. This isn't some sterile corporate environment where some Jobsworth busybody middle management type is constantly badgering and hectoring you at work. Sit down in your seat, do your work. You're in a pub where you're supposed to be able to relax, unwind, and chill out. It's not supposed to be a high-intensity, regulated place. It seems now as if every joy and pleasure has to be extinguished in our lives. People likely won't want to be in an environment like this, and they will instead opt to drink at home, which obviously is going to lead to major problems. Increases in alcoholism, depression, loneliness, and domestic abuse. By the way, as we've seen from other countries, there's no evidence whatsoever that social distancing works or that it saves lives. Here's a shopping centre in the UK.
When our visitors arrive at site, there'll be 4 triggered doors that will be operational. We will have a security presence and some customer service personnel that will be able to assist any needs of the customer.
Good morning, welcome to Into Lakeside.
We're going to utilise technology to track the amount of people that come backwards and forwards out of our centre. And through that information and through our heat mapping service, we'll be able to monitor where they're going once they're in the centre.
Just what I've always wanted, to have my every move tracked with heat monitoring technology. As I've said before, these rules will destroy the high street and pubs, bars, restaurants. They will close in short order. All small businesses will be destroyed, and hundreds of millions of people globally will be unemployed, making them reliant on government for welfare, or as is increasingly being suggested in several countries, universal basic income. So that's money for doing nothing. You know, it's really weird. When it comes to picking up things like these shopping bags, they have to be disinfected on a regular basis. Funny how items in grocery stores don't have to be disinfected in this way. People can pick up cans of beans or bags of rice, hold them in their hands, and then put them back down on the shelf if they decide not to buy them. Hardware stores can be open to customers, but not schools or universities, although they are starting to open now with ridiculous social distancing rules. Meat processing plants have to close in many countries, but not Amazon warehouses. Really makes you think. I want to move on now and talk about something that's been happening behind the scenes, which is very relevant. It's what the World Economic Forum calls the Fourth Industrial Revolution. That doesn't sound like something right out of Soviet Russia or anything. It's well worth subscribing to Spiroskouras. He does fantastic work on this whole crisis and on Agenda 21. I'm going to include some clips from one of his recent videos here, and he's done a great job on this.
Now, I'm sure that many of you are familiar with the Hegelian dialectic, which is problem, reaction, solution. If you have a goal of, let's say, global governance, you may not be able to just roll this out because you'll be met with resistance, and there may be little to no justification for this agenda. So you engineer a crisis. in this case a global health pandemic, a scenario we have seen wargamed in documents such as the 2010 Rockefeller Lockstep document and Event 201, the tabletop exercise and simulation of a global coronavirus pandemic. That was sponsored by the World Economic Forum, Johns Hopkins, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which took place last October. This crisis, which I believe to be engineered, produces a desired response, a controlled demolition of the global economy, wiping out the middle class, creating more dependency upon the government in the form of stimulus money and bailouts, which essentially equate to ownership.
Absolutely spot on. And at this point, I want to alert you to an interview that I did with economist Ernst Wolf back in April, in case you didn't see it, which was about the controlled collapse of the global financial system. That's also linked below.
We experienced the authoritarian lockdowns, which was the conclusion of the Rockefeller Lockstep document on how to mitigate this crisis.